Strap into your seats and get ready. It's time for the Mortarpod.
Hey everybody, Alex Stevenson and Jake Face here. Welcome to this week's episode of the Mortarpod. Mortarpod is brought to you by SeemsGoodMagic.com. SeemsGoodMagic.com is where I post draft videos for Born of the Gods. Randy's been posting Cube draft videos, so if you like to watch draft videos, we've got plenty of content available for you there. We're going to hop right into our F&M results tonight. And Jake, why don't you start off with your Planeswalker control deck? Maybe you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know if I need to run through the list. Do you think I should, or?
Maybe just talk about the Planeswalkers,
Okay.
and then the shell is pretty
Yeah,
self-explanatory.
the shell is pretty much blue-white control, or maybe even Esper control, but pretty much blue-white control. And then I'm running 3 Ashiok, 2 Kiora, 4 Jace Architect of Thought, 1 Vraska, and 2 Elspeth. And yeah, other than that, it's got the 4 Detention Sphere, 4 Supreme Verdict, 4 Sphinx's Rev, and a lot of removal or counter spells. I played against Naya Hexproof and lost in the first match, or first round, and I think this is actually a better matchup for me than what shows, because I missed my Supreme Verdict it must have been in both games. I missed like key Supreme Verdicts or something, or he had the right kind of play. Actually, he had double voice at one point in the second game. I remember this. So my verdict wasn't good at that point anymore, you know?
And you didn't have Detention Sphere?
Yeah, and I was waiting on the Detention Sphere, but did not get it. So, it's a little... I'm a little unimpressed with this deck, I guess, as our meta is shifting. But I'll just continue talking about my matchups. Anyway, I lost that one.
What do you sideboard in against? You should talk about your sideboard for Hexproof, the control.
Against Hexproof, I brought in Aetherize, the Revoke Existence, and Negates. I don't think I brought in anything else, and the Blind Obedience isn't worthwhile, and yeah, Jace Memory Adept's not good either. So against Naya, yeah, it was pretty much just bringing in the Negate and the Aetherize. And the Revoke Existence. In round 2, I played against Black-Red Aggro, and I beat them, I think 2-1. This is a deck I'm actually most afraid of, but in the second and third game, I was able to get the Fiendslayer Paladin or Blind Obedience out, you know, and the Fiendslayer Paladin basically shut down my opponent completely, you know. So I was really happy with the addition of those, since we had so many black-red aggro decks and other burn decks hanging around.
Yeah.
Those really helped in that matchup. But unfortunately, I did not play a lot of black-red aggro or burn this week. My next matchup was against Control, and it was blue-white Control. Excuse me. I'm burping. Okay, I better know. It's a pretty grindy match. I won the first game, he won the second game, and then we drew. Like, we timed out in the last game.
It's kind of an aggravating thing about Control right now.
Yeah.
It's super grindy and slow.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's funny, but the fact that Detention Sphere can't take out other Detention Spheres and stuff, I would almost rather have Detention Sphere just be an Oblivion Ring effect at 2 mana, you know, and not target everything or not hit everything. But I see why they want to do that, you know, so they can print more token stuff, and so that populate mechanic didn't get out of control and stuff like that. They needed to have it, but I really, it's sad that Detention Spheres can't remove Detention Spheres, but I guess it also makes flavorful sense, you know. Why would you be doing that?
Well, there was like broken game states with Oblivion rings, right?
Hmm.
Technically.
Well, you O-ring an O-ring, and then they O-ring your O-ring that's O-ring their O-ring, and then they get another one back to O-ring something else. So it's actually it's not something you want to do to O-ring their O-ring, because they're really getting, well, they're not getting too effective
Well,
with it.
LSV has that video where he broke Moto with the O-ring, where it went infinite, where it was forced to target the other thing, which
Yeah.
then in turn forced to target. I don't know what happened on the
Yeah,
board state.
you're
I
right.
don't know
You're
why
right.
I can't.
I do remember that.
I don't know why I can't
It
figure
was
out what
just
the
a
resolution was.
enters and leaves ability, or enters and leaves trigger. It might have been like leaves destroy an enchantment or exile an enchantment or something. I don't know. Or blink an enchantment. I don't know.
I forgot how he broke Moto, but
It happened. I remember seeing that
it
too.
definitely involved two O-rings O-ringing each other. So having Detention Sphere not have that issue is nice.
Yeah, it's true. I guess. Black white mid range was my 4th round opponent, which I lost to. Um, uh, this is where my deck really suffers because they have the thought seizes and stuff like that to pick out the cards that they can't deal with early on, and then they have the hero's downfalls to get my planeswalkers, and I don't play a ton of removal that can take out Obsidat, so it's already like kind of just an uphill battle for me. I really don't like that matchup, and he beat me 2-0, so overall, I'm kind of just not feeling the deck anymore. I like it. I think it's fun to play when nobody has seen it before, but once everybody has kind of become acclimated to it, it loses its there's a lot of 1-ofs and 2-ofs in it, which makes it difficult to prepare for everything, But once you've seen it played out a few times, like over the course of a few weeks, you actually begin to know the deck list pretty well, I think. So I think that's kind of what happened, and I'm just going to shelf this deck for a while. Maybe bring it back once the next set comes out or something like that. But for now, I'm just going to try out something else, and I'm not exactly sure what, but we'll see. Might be going into black-white.
Okay. Well, at least, yeah, keep this deck up. I don't think, just because you've had a couple bad weeks with it, but I feel like your deck, because you're 4-color, you're pretty tweakable. You can change some stuff to make it.
I've changed some stuff in the past, but it like going into the deeper black and stuff like that, it shifts it a little too far away from what it is, and that's blue-white fundamentally, If you go into any of the other colors more, then you really are screwing with the mana base a little too much.
I see.
It's really, I've got 3 green cards, and it's Kiora and Vraska. And then I've got like a few more black cards, which are Ashiok, Vraska, Far and Away, Doomblade. And then I'm not sure if I'm running anything Notion Thief out of the board for black. But really, it is blue-white.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you're thinking it's not good in the meta anymore, you can shift out of it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Burn does have a good match against control.
I know that there are at least aggro has become just a pretty good strategy in our meta, I think.
I think you can totally try some black-ish devotion-y stuff and do well.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done the mono black devotion deck?
I have. I don't have Desecration Demons though. So.
You can probably go more of a Obsidian direction instead, because we had talked about you don't have a lot of Blood Barons. You could maybe do 1 Blood Baron, 3 Obsidian or something like that. And
I think if they run Whip, they run the full play set of Obsidian or.
Oh wow, really? Okay. I mean that works, but I don't know. I just think that's a good direction, and it's still good against burn, and it forces me to have stuff right away. The Skullcrack, I need it. The turn. You can even do Grey Merchant. It doesn't matter. Even with Whip, Grey Merchant can be good.
It's a 4 life swing there, at least 6 if you attack with it then.
You don't even necessarily have to do the Pack Rat either. And then you can do Devour Fleshes for the Hexproof decks, which there's a couple. That deck's getting popular. I'm sure we'll have time to look at some Star City stuff, but I'm pretty sure that deck's getting popular. So it just seems like Bioblights. Black's in a good spot
Mm-hmm.
to be played right now.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, I'll talk about my matches. So I'm playing the Red White Burn list, which is definitely getting more popular. I've tuned it for the meta a little bit, so I'm doing Chandra's Phoenix and Ash Zealots like most lists are doing. I'm doing Magma Jets, Lightning Strikes, Searing Blood, Skull Cracks, full playset of War Leader's Helix, 4 Boros Charm, and for this I did a 2 Mizzium Mortar main deck because I wanted to be more prepared. We don't have a lot of mono blue devotion in our meta, so or red green monsters. So Chain to the Rocks main deck felt less good than Mizzium Mortars. I wanted a main deck be able to hit Blood Barons and stuff like that and be good. And yeah, just take it out. Or Courser of Kruphix still, I can deal with that if anybody was playing it. But I think I might switch back to Chain of the Rocks just because I sort of discovered that Desecration Demon is way better against this deck than it was against my old creature aggro deck. I just don't have enough creatures to sack to it, and I end up dying to it. So I think I'm going to go back to main decking the Chain of the Rocks, but I run a full play set of Mutavaults as well, so really the only creatures in the deck are Chandra's Phoenix, Ashsail, and Mutavaults, but the rest of it just burned to the face, and it's usually enough. The key difference between my list and the other ones is instead of main decking Shocks, I'm main decking Toil and Trouble. And I like that for our meta, because we have a fair amount of control, and the rest is a lot of mid-range. Even hitting the black deck, Black Devotion decks, you can hit them for like 4 or 5 on turn 3. But against control, it's devastating. Like I hit for 6 or something like that, something crazy like that. So round 1, I played against America Control, and I beat it 2-1. But it's a grindy match still. Game 1, I got him good. I think I got him for 6 with a Toil and Trouble on turn 3 after a turn 2 Magma Jet. So I was just well positioned to beat him game 1. Game 2, it got to a grindy spot. I have tweaked my sideboard a little bit. Maybe I should talk about that quick. I was doing the Vyashno First Blades and Spark Troopers, and I switched into Anger of the Gods and Renounce the Guilds. And my main reason for doing that was because Naya Hexproof's getting a little more popular in our meta, and it's like an awful match for us. It's hands down our worst match, but I wanted to have some better tools to combat that. So Anger of the Gods really was like the main tool that I wanted to come in, since it just straight up blocks out the, Voice of Resurgences, kills Glade Cover Scout with an Unflinching Courage. What else is that deck running for creatures? Witch Stalkers takes that out. It takes out like their entire creature base.
Yeah.
Sans the Gorklan Rampagers. I'm not even sure. Was your Naya Hexproof player even playing Gorklan Rampager?
I don't know if they were.
I really don't think he was.
I don't think he was either.
So I don't think most of the lists do that. One of the players in our meta does it. But so Anger of the Gods, I did get a chance to play it against Hexproof too, so I can talk about that. But Renounce the Guilds for the Obsidian and the Blood Barons also out of side. And maybe I need to tweak that a little bit. But anyway, I bring in the Fire Drinker Satyrs against Control. And formerly I did the Vyashno First Blades too. But this time around, I just felt like that match was so good for me that I needed to lose a little bit of extra win percentage just so I could tweak my match against the Naya Hexproof. I needed to up my win against them. They're just a horrendously bad match, like as bad as it gets. Just they resolve an Unflinching Courage on turn 3 on a Hexproof guy and you're dead. Like there's nothing you can do. Which is also why I have the Wear and Tears out of sideboard. So it's necessary, and that's still a bad match. Even with those tools out of sideboard, it's a very bad match. So America Control got me game 2. I kept a 1-lander Temple hand with just a double Magma Jet and double Lightning Strike, and I just figured it was there, and it took me way too long to get my lands to burn him, and he was able to control me. So it got to the point where he still couldn't beat me, and there were less than 20 minutes left. So I just conceded because I felt like I didn't want to draw, so I wanted to try and beat him in game 3 in 20 minutes, which I did, thankfully. And I forgot to put in my sideboard here. That's the 2 cards I'm missing. Blind Obedience. Finally picked up Blind Obediences. Yeah. So I figured since I don't have the First Blades and Searing Blood is so bad in that match, and I had space because I took out the Mortars and the Searing Blades, or Bloods, I brought in the Blind Obedience in the Control match, which isn't great. I actually don't think I like it overall. I like it more than
But you can
the,
extort off of stuff sometimes.
no, it's not that it's bad. It's just it's certainly not as good as what the
Yeah.
Vyashno First Blade was doing. And sometimes you have to be smart with Blind Obedience and just not extort. Because actually paying that extra mana, it can be slowing you up more. You need to be like quickly burning the control
Yeah.
player out. You don't need to be like, I want this one extra. Sometimes that extra point of damage isn't what you want to do. You
Yeah.
want to do the double burn in
I
the
guess-
one turn.
What I mean to say about it is that
Even if they counter
they're
it.
at like if they're at 2
Even
or
if they
3
counter
life,
it, you get to
then,
extort.
yeah,
And that
that's
happened.
where it is.
That totally did happen, and that was good. And actually, I mean, it did get me an extra 2 or 3 points of damage that meant the game. But I think
It's
ordinarily,
not necessary to do it, but like when it comes down to it, it's definitely there. Good to have it
I
as
wanna
an option.
I would think most of the burn decks are not bringing that in the control match.
Mhm.
They'd rather they're probably
They'd
still
rather do
doing the
those
first
big aggro
blades.
or creatures, yeah.
But I did it over, cards that are basically dead against control, and it played okay, just adequate.
Yeah, it's
Better
better
than
than what it
Mortars.
was, yeah.
But I did manage to take that game, or match. I was happy about that. I played Esper, or I guess you played the same player, so it's more like blue-white control, but he has some black spells at least out of sideboard. And I beat that 2-0. Once again, Toil and Trouble, turn 3. I think he even had the counter for it, but it puts him in a lot of tough spots. The burn deck gets to burn them at the end of their turn, so that is like exactly that's what the control player is trying to do to you. So doing it to the control player is a lot harder for them to deal with. Magma Jet basically makes this deck, since you can not have card draw, but just increasing your card quality is enough to get there, because you can just burn and top deck away while still, paying them down, making them deal with while they're busy dealing with Ash Zealots, Chandra's Phoenix, and Mutavault, you're doing like little, pitter burns on the side, hitting them here and there. So that's a great match, and they have a real hard time. They have to know the right exact time to cast Sphinx's Revelation, and there's sometimes where they really have no idea, where it's like, he has the 2 mana up, he's down to the last card in his hand. Is it a Skullcrack? And then a lot of times they have to be like, okay, I either win or I lose right here if I Sphinx's Rev. If he has a Skullcrack, I lose, which is frustrating, I'm sure.
Yeah,
for them, and that's why Skullcrack main deck for this is so insane. I think if like Skullcrack wasn't in here, I really doubt this deck would be playable without it. Again, the control match, that'd be the worst thing ever. That gaining 3 life, draw 3 cards would have so much more impact. Okay, so round 3, I played against Naya Hexproof, which is my worst match, but I did end up beating it 2-0, so I was pretty happy about that. So my sideboard plan, I brought in the Wear and Tears, I brought in the Angers. It also helped that he was having, I think he got a little flooded in game 2, and he was a little bit mana screwed in game 1. But Anger game 2 was actually kind of sketchy. I don't know how much I mean, I like what Anger can do against him, but when I finally did play it, I had to kill my own Chandra's Phoenix and Ash Zealot, so that's a big issue too. I don't like the board sweeper thing because of that. It's kind of, I don't know, just not good.
Yeah.
Killing your own Chandra's Phoenix, exiling it.
Yeah.
It's totally counterintuitive to what you're trying to do, but I felt like it was necessary because of how good the creatures are in that deck against me.
I wonder if Chandra's Phoenix, is it worth keeping it in totally, or should it come out in general?
I probably took 1 out, maybe, or 2. But, yeah, you might be right. I don't know.
I really don't know, because it doesn't really help you defend against anything with the Madcap skills, or the Unflinching Courage. So all it does is help you maintain your aggressiveness. But would Fire Drinker Satyr be better?
I actually think I want to just do more Wear and Tear, and then just dump the whole Anger the Gods plan, and maybe even go more Chained to the Rocks if I need that. Go back up to 4 Chained, maybe 3 Wear and Tear out of the sideboard, and that way I can always deal with Voice. I can deal with Fleece Main Line. I can deal with Fiendslayer Paladin.
Instead of Anger of the Gods, you could do Glaring Spotlight if it's hexproof. That's really screwing
you. Someone had talked about that at FNM too, and it's worth a try.
The other option on Glaring Spotlight that you get to get your guys through for a turn isn't bad either if you have 5 mana and 4 guys.
I'll try it. I feel like it's gonna end up being underwhelming.
I think it's a one of. I don't necessarily. I think maybe it's a one of, and you increase your wear and tear count. You know.
Another issue too is they run Boros Charm, which is frustrating because then it's like even if you can target their guys, they
just
still
make
can
them
make them
indestructible.
indestructible. Yeah. So it's a tough match.
Yeah, if you get it out on turn 1 or turn 2 and you're able to still use your Searing Bloods against them, you know, that could be something in response to their
It's true.
enchants.
It's tough. Renounce isn't terrible against them since it
but
hits.
Blade Cover still doesn't get hit, and neither does Witch Stalker.
Yeah, it hits the Courage though, and it hits Voice of Resurgence.
Yeah.
So it's not terrible. It does hit some things, but that might be it. So maybe it's
Fleece
not.
Mane, it gets. But
Yeah, I think he tends to sideboard that out all the time. It seems like he's one of the few people that's not main decking the Fiendslayer Paladins, because I think most of the lists are. He'd rather do the Fleece Mains, I guess, but one of our players is definitely main decking the Fiendslayer, so I'd rather have Chain to the Rocks in that match.
Yeah.
So that's just yet another reason why I need to switch back to Chain to the Rocks main deck. It's better in my worst match. I'd rather have the 1 mana out for Voice. I'd rather have the 1 mana out for Fleece main deck or Fiendslayer Paladin. Round 4, I just drew with my opponent. He didn't want to play it out, so we were just we drew because I was guaranteed in the top 8, and I just watched the games. And then in top 8, I played against Black Devotion pretty much deck, and I ended up losing that 0-2. I was pretty surprised. We both mulled the 5 game 1, so that was really awkward, and he just... I think it's a lot more punishing for me to mull the 5s than the black player, because, like, they've got plenty of stuff to do. They're doing, like, Grey Merchants and Desecration Demons, so if you don't burn them out, they're just going to hit you and gain a bunch of life. I lost the Desecration Demon both games. Game 1, I finally was like, okay, yeah, Mortars isn't doing anything for me right now. That's right. So that was like, I need Chain to the Rocks for Desecration Demon. So I needed to learn my lesson on that one to realize why people probably aren't main decking Mortars, and they definitely are main decking the Chain to the Rocks. So Desecration Demon beat me down bad both games. He didn't even need to gain much life. I think I just kind of had lousy draws a little bit. I kept a hand that was like 2 red sources and a Magma Jet, because I was like, I was going to find my white source, and then I jetted, and it was like 2 more non-white lands that I bottomed, and then I didn't draw a land, and I was like stuck on 2 for like a turn. It was weird.
Yeah.
It just turned out really awkward and not what I thought was going to happen, and I just couldn't draw more land after that, and it was really bizarre.
Yeah.
So finding the white sources is actually way more important for this one than it was for my creature aggro deck too. Gotta hit those Helixes and Boros Charms. Still love the deck though. I think it's very good. Even though I lost that match, I can tweak it back with the Chain to the Rocks, and I might get rid of the Angers and try more Chain with more wear and tear. Maybe just the priority should be get rid of that. Just hit Unflinching Courage as soon as it comes down. Otherwise, try and race. Like, that is a possibility. But those decks can go very fast. They can go super fast.
Yeah.
Like a Fiend,
they really can.
Even a Fiend Slayer into a Madcap is...
It's Madcap armor that really does it, you know.
Yeah.
Like, +3/+3 on each armor is, you know, that's +9 to attack right there.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So, I guess it depends on how much that's going to pick up in our meta. We don't know yet. But, alright, so that was our F&M results. So, let's move into this week's Weird Harvest.
Weird Harvest.
So, Weird Harvest is the segment of the Mortarpod where we talk about weird cards from the past, and we're specifically referring to the name of the card as well as the picture on the card. But this week, we've got Feldegriff.
Everyone's favorite.
Feldegriff's awesome. He's just a really fun card in general. His picture is so adorable. So, Feldegriff is a... What's his creature type now?
Feldegriff.
Oh, he's a Feldegriff. Okay. Yeah. I was hoping for, like, Unicorn
Unicorn Hippo. Pegasus Hippo.
Pegasus Hippo. That's the best way to describe him, I guess. But he's Bant color, so he's green, blue, white, and a colorless for a 4/4, which is pretty good, right? Especially at that time. This was printed in Alliances, which was a very early set.
It was basically just a 4-mana 4/4 with abilities you could use. You didn't want to use.
Well, here's what the abilities are. So it's a white, you can have it gain flying, and then target opponent gains 2 life. For a blue, you can return it to its owner's hand, and target opponent may draw a card. So it's kind of like a pseudo protection. And then for a green, you can give it trample, but your opponent gets a hippo token. That's a 1/1 green creature, like there'd be a 1/1 hippo.
I know, right?
Well, maybe it's a baby
like,
hippo.
Very baby, but like I don't even know that I could barehanded kill a baby hippo. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, actually, I don't know
I
how
guess
big.
maybe I'm a 0/1. That's fine.
I don't
can accept
necessarily
that.
think of hippos as green creatures either. I think of them a little bit more since they're a little aquatic.
Yeah, but like crocodiles
they are
and
beasts.
alligators are also green creatures.
I guess they are beasts,
Mhm.
technically, like big old beasts.
They're like elephants, or like they're in the pachyderm area, right?
I
They're
don't know.
close to that.
I'm not sure, but let's describe the picture a little bit. So, it's the cutest little purple.
Giant purple hippo.
Yeah, it's not little, it's huge. Purple, elephant-y, hippo-ish. Yeah, it's a hippo. With wings, with blades on its wings, too, which is even
Yeah, I
funnier.
know, that's crazy.
But it's just such a silly picture, and it's Amy Weber did the art.
Yeah,
Maybe you know some other art that she's done.
she did, not Stasis. She did Blue Mana Battery, and she did, I mean, some really great ones.
Those are some important ones.
She did Mishra's War Machine.
But Feldergriff's a fun commander card. The reason that I like it in commander is you kind of hook opponents up and they don't want to attack you. You know what I mean? That's why Feldergriff's kind of the fun commander.
Yeah, it is actually really fun in commander because a lot of times you will, if it's the first time you bring it out, like once people get wise to what you're trying to do as the group hug player, then they'll start killing you earlier. But if it's the first time you bring it out, you can start helping everybody, and they'll be like, oh, okay, and leave you to be last, and then you can just kill them with the Feldergriff at the end.
Like, it's kind of fun thinking just giving it trample 3 times a turn, so in a 4-man game, so each of your opponents gets a hippo, and they don't want to attack you.
Yeah.
Maybe they attack each other.
Right.
Hippo combat.
Or bouncing it, like, repeatedly, just putting a bunch of chain bounces on so that
Each of your opponents draws a card. It's kind of funny.
The same with flying, actually. Like, you can just make it so that you have 1 ally, too, or, like, 2 allies and then 1 enemy, so that these 2 people are defending you against that person, but that person wants to attack you,
I think basically what Jake and I are trying to say is Feldergriff's a very political
Yeah, if you want to be
commander
political,
card.
this is a great card for you. Can we look at questing Feldergriff? I think it's just below it anyway.
Alright, so there was another Feldergriff card.
You should just click on the regular plane shift version.
There was another Feldergriff card, also Bant colored, and also a 4-mana 4/4. But this one had for a green, it got +1/+1, and an opponent gets a 1/1 hippo. A white, it gains protection from black and red, and opponent gains 2 life. Or blue gains flying, and target opponent may draw a card. So why did they do this? Actually, this seems kind of strange that they did.
What do you mean?
Well, it's like the same card. Why did they?
Oh, they did it differently. The blue is flying on this one.
I mean, I see that it's different,
Oh,
but why did
they still get the same effects from the colors? Is what you mean?
Why is it essentially like the same card? It's like another. It's just a flying. It almost
is
like takes away from the
originality of the
first one.
Yeah.
To me, it's
Well,
like the same thing.
It is like the same thing. I think they were trying to do exactly like fix it. Basically, I think they were trying to fix the first one.
Fix it.
Yeah.
What was that? What did you feel was wrong with the first one?
I think that they probably just weren't as impressed with the ability set.
Oh, okay. They thought it needed to be better.
Like bounce your 4/4 is not that impressive, But pro red and black is actually really impressive against
Some decks.
Like in a format where Terminate was around, that's actually pretty sweet,
Mm-hmm.
And then the flying and +1/+1 together on that Feldergriff is way more relevant than trample flying together. Trample and flying actually don't really work together.
Pretty pointless.
I mean, they work
Horizon
together.
Chimera.
Yeah, they work together, but
Yeah,
they don't
no, I
work
see what you're
together
saying.
the right way. Like
It's narrow.
normally, yeah.
It's much more narrow. All right. Well, that's Feldergriff for you. I would definitely, if you're just listening, recommend checking out the picture.
If you like Commander, for sure, it's a good Commander.
It's cute.
It's fun.
I think before we call it quits today, we're going to check out some Star City Games standard events. Why don't we see what's winning recently? So this is Charlotte, and this is for yesterday. We've got Blue-White Devotion. Interesting. Black-white mid-range, mono-red aggro. Let's see what the mono-red aggro. No burn is kind of surprising, actually. Here's a creature-heavy... Here's like the creature aggro deck I used to play with Fnatic and stuff. Interesting. Very ballsy that this would do good. Let's check out... Alright. Well, black-white mid-range, you know that. Doesn't look that different. Let's check out this blue-white devotion list here. So, okay. So it's essentially the mono-blue devotion list. That's kind of cool. We haven't actually seen it in a few weeks, I feel like.
Yeah.
Really performing well. So seeing it win again is good. The Tension Sphere was really the main thing that the Temple of Enlightenments kind of opened this deck into. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. And that's really helpful to the strategy anyway, Detention Sphere, so.
They already had the Hallowed Fountain, so they just really needed the temples. And now that they can do it, yeah, the Detention Sphere is huge, because before, you're right, blue didn't have any removal. What was blue gonna do for some of those threats? I still don't know what they do against the Mistcutter Hydras. They just have a hard time, don't they? I guess. They must have some sort of...
Cyclonic Rift or Pacifism.
You can rift it. You can...
I think it's just
Not much.
Rift or Pacifism for this guy. I don't think Mistcutter Hydra, though, is as popular now as it was. Green isn't as popular as it
That's
used to
true. Well, especially for our meta.
Yeah.
The red-green monsters list don't pop up that much. It looks like it made its way into here. Jund monsters, and it was Chris Van Meter. See if he has anything unusual. Dreadbores. Sire of Insanity main deck. That's pretty unusual. He's definitely packing some Mistcutters. And, yeah. Nothing too unusual outside that. So I guess he's still on the same sort of game plan. That's performing well for him. Anything unusual in mono black? Nope. Looks about the same.
Strike.
You're right. Psychic Strike main deck is actually pretty strange. No main deck Bioblights? That's weird too. Bant Control. Little Kiora. Yeah.
Three of them.
Yep, this kind of looks like your list a little bit. Just no black. And then Esper Control. Just about what you'd expect it to look like. So nothing too unusual out of here, I guess. I guess I'm surprised to see a mono red aggro list take third, a creature mono red aggro list. And actually, I'm surprised to not see any sort of burn decks
Place in the top 8 at all.
Yeah, but that's good. I'm glad. I kind of want to see it disappear a little bit. Otherwise, people are going to be packing more sideboard hate for it. You know what I mean? At the big tourneys. But, all right. Well, that's going to be it for this week. And thank you, everybody, for stopping out. Make sure you're checking out Randy's Cube videos. I know I forced Jake to sit down and watch it with me.
No, I like the videos. Actually.
Yeah.
Those Cube videos are a lot of fun to watch.
They're a lot of fun, yeah. Definitely. And check those out, and check out my draft videos. The most recent one I just put up, I drafted Chromanticore again, and that's always a lot of fun. So I know those are the most fun to watch, and they're definitely the most fun to play. I really only recommend them for Swiss. I wouldn't necessarily do those. I did it once in an 8-4. I won one of the games of the match one, but I still lost, sadly. But still, if you're real ballsy, I guess you can do it in the 8-4s. Okay, that's it. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.